Problem 13 in section 9.4. According to Securelist, 71.8% of all emails sent is spam. A system manager at a large corporation believes that the percentage at his company may be 80%. He examines a random sample of 500 emails received at an email server and finds that 382 of the messages are spam. Then A. State a preliminary new and alternative hypothesis. Computer test statistics C. Use alpha 0.05 and then use alpha 0.01. Can you conclude that the percentage of emails that are spam differs from 80%? So I already worked on the problem, so I want to save the time, but I will explain this to you. In step 0, we are writing down the information and the question. So the number 500 and 382, so he examined a random sample, so that is a sample size, so n is 500. And in the 500 email, that 382 are spam. So we can find p hat is 382 divided by 500. In this case, we can divide nicely, so that's why I divide and I got the number 0.764. Now in the question, can we conclude that the percent of the spam differ from 80%? So this is 80%. Differ, that means P is not 0.8. And when we're talking about the claim, this is the population proportion that we should use, which is P. Then this will go to the null and alternative hypothesis. Under the null, we always assume it's equal sign. And opposite to the equal sign in alternative is more, less, or not equal. In this case, we will use not equal because the problem mentioned differs. And we will use total. Okay, so differ than 0.8 is can be more or can be less, so it can be on the right side or can be left side. So we use total. Step number 2 is alpha 0.05. We choose alpha 0.05. So we are doing part C. And step number 3 is test statistic. I use this formula. I plug in a number for p hat is here. And the p naught. So we look at the p naught. We go under the null. So we use p naught is 0.8. And then we plug in 0.8 in the bottom also. We use the GeoGebra for this to get the number test statistic is negative 2.0125. So in step number 4, for p-value, we put in the test statistic number negative 2.0125 to find the p. So we put in negative 2.0125, and we got the number is 0.0221. Because we are using the total, go back to step 1, right? Under the alternative, we say total. So the p, we should multiply the p by 2 because we have the other side also, which is 0.0221, and we got 0.0442. Then we compare the p with the alpha. The alpha is 0.05, the p is 0.04, so the alpha is bigger. The p is less than alpha, so we will reject the null. So we reject the null, that means the null is gone. Now we go to step 1, we cross the null out. So what do we got is that the H1 left, and under H1 the statement say is different, right? The percent is different. differs from 0.8. So you look at the question in the yellow. It said that, can you conclude that the percent of the email that are spam differs from 0.8, 80%? Then we just prove that it's different from 0.8. And the question asking us, is that different from 0.8? Then yes, right? So we will say we can conclude that the percentage and then copy down the yellow sentence in the conclusion, step number 6. For the critical value method, we will use alpha because we do two tails. So alpha is 0.05. Then this should be alpha divided by 2. So 0.05 divided by 2 is 0.025. Then this point right here will be the critical value. So we will have two critical value. We're going to use 0.025. And we got 1.96 and negative 1.96. Now we have the test statistic is laying on here because negative 2 is on the left side of negative 1 something. So it's laying on the shaded region, and you recall shaded region is reject, the no. The blank region is do not reject. So we have the decision is reject the no. And that is the same decision for the other way. And step number 6, we are doing the same thing. Now we use the GeoGebra for this. The alpha is, the P is 0.8. We are using to tell the X is 382 and the P, the N is 500. So what do we see is the P, the last line is 0.0442, and the Z, the test statistics, step number 3 is negative 2.0125.